Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. So lovely to see you all. How is everyone doing? Oh, that's great. Wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for joining us once more on cue at Center Stage. For those of you who don't know me, really, I keep asking this every week. My name is Daniela Crankshaw.
And I'm Grant Crankshaw. And welcome to the show.
Yep.
If you can hear us, give us a thumbs up. If you can't, give us the thumbs down. There we go. Lovely.
Love
Great.
it. Love it. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Well, let us begin. Thespians of the world unite. We are sad to report that poetic license may be dying. Creative freedom in the performing arts is being restricted. Our right to tell stories and play characters on stage or in movies is under threat by a generation of zealots who apparently just woke up. Our very own Gal Gadot is the latest victim of this crazy logic. She accepted the role of Cleopatra. Why, you may ask? Well, she's talented, beautiful, and famous. What's the problem? Surely Superwoman qualifies you to play Cleopatra. Apparently history is negotiable. Cleopatra may have been black. And apparently Gal Gadot is not. Many Israelis were shocked at this revelation, as they've never even thought about it before. Gal Gadot is also not Egyptian. Lucky for her, neither was Cleopatra. Tiny parts of the world have gone slightly mad. Audiences enjoy shows like Hamilton, yet none of America's founding fathers were black. So what? Center Stage believes in producing good theatre. Actors are real people, and characters only exist on stage and on screen. It's just pretend, you see.
Wow.
In conclusion, then, we shall only be holding auditions in Transylvania for a sweet transvestite for our next production of Rocky Horror Picture Show. We can dream, can't we? And for the upcoming children's production of Peter Pan, we're only considering actors who can fly. If anybody knows of any fairies or pirates who may be available, please forward us their details. Thank you very much.
Some theatre news, guys. Next week, Sunday, 29th November, you've already heard this before, we'll be bringing you something a little bit different. We brought together some exceptional talents to bring you duets, an evening in harmony, with songs from the stage and from the charts. It's a virtual evening. Tickets are 40 shekels, and it promises to be a spectacular evening. So please, please put it in your calendars. I also want to, I should actually show you these lovely things that I have here. And it's going to do that to me, isn't it? Because there you are. You see, there's duets happening on the 29th. I also want to bring your attention to our new program, Theatre Skills for Business. You may ask what theatre has to do with business. Well, let me just re-quote this. All the world's a stage, ... and one man in his time plays many parts. But seriously, in my 20 years of high-tech and venture capital world, I discovered that the skills I learned in drama school served me well in a myriad of ways. I want to share these skills with you so you can become better leaders, communicators, team players, speakers, presenters, etc. If you want to find out more about these programs, visit our website or contact me directly.
And some things at Center Stage never change. This is a pay-as-you-can event. So we'd like you to transfer all of your Swiss funds into our account immediately.
Thank you. And for those who have already, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Just sit back and enjoy the show. Yep. We're all in this together.
And we are always committed to keeping you involved, connected, and entertained. So stay up to date with our events. It's all on our Facebook page and on our website. So follow us and stay up to date with all the exciting things that we are doing. So now let us offer a warm welcome to this week's guests, Rebecca Flanders and Shmuel Goldstein. Yeah, so I'm going to bring Rebecca on first. So here we go. And I'm going to ask Rebecca to, oh, you are unmuted. Yay.
Hey, Rebecca.
So let me just tell you that I met Rebecca. Well, I was lucky enough that people kept hounding Rebecca to call me. And it took 3 different people to finally convince her to pick up the phone and call. we met, we clicked, and we started to work together. And we produced a number of exciting projects at Center Stage. But let's start at the beginning so that you can know this wonderfully talented woman, and just a wonderful woman, full stop. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
I'm very happy to be here.
Let's start at the beginning. When did you realize that you wanted to be involved in theater?
When I realized that I did not want to be a professional flautist.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Tell us more.
I grew up in a very musical family, and they took music very seriously and the arts very seriously. And as a child, somehow I landed on the flute. And
I love the flute.
I don't know if I ever told you this. Yes, so I somehow landed on the flute. And I studied it very seriously, and then things got too serious. My great uncle, may he rest in peace, was a violinist with the New York Philharmonic. And suddenly, around 12 years old, I was studying with a flautist from the New York Philharmonic, and I couldn't take the pressure. So I went to the theater.
Oh, that's less pressure.
I ran away to the theater.
I love that. I never
It
heard.
really is what happened. Yeah. And then from there, I grew up in a suburb of New York City in New Jersey called Montclair, if anybody here is American and knows where that is. It's a very artsy-fartsy town outside New York. And
Gershom is nodding his head. He's like, yeah.
yeah, so someone knows. It's the artsy-fartsiest town. And it's got a lot of the public schools are very good, and the arts programs in the public schools are very, very good. And so I was extremely fortunate to study, get a public education and a public arts education that was at a really high level. And that then led me to wanting to apply for a conservatory to get a bachelor in fine arts.
I was just going to say, so you got your BA in fine arts and musical theater, and this was at a conservatory.
Yeah, I got a BFA. It's a degree that it certainly doesn't exist in Israel. I don't know if it exists in the UK or in South Africa, but it's not a BA, it's a BFA. So it really means that it's really a conservatory education, so like going to like a Juilliard or a Berkeley, that type of education, but within a university, So I went to the University of Miami, and they had a very good program.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, so after graduating, you were involved in like a summer theater festival in upstate New York.
Yeah.
And this was repertory theater. So I want you to explain to us exactly what repertory theater is. Sure. And how it's different from other theaters and what you had to do in this festival.
Sure. Well, repertory theater means that they hire a group of actors to do a season. And when they hire you, they plug you into all the roles you're going to do in that season. And then why it's called repertory theater, you do it in rep, right? So things rotate. So this can happen at a annual scale, like at a large theater, or more often it happens with summer theater in the States, professional summer theater. And generally they have 3 or 4 shows across, let's say, a 2.5, 3 month period, and they're in rotation. And so I was hired out of college. I did it for 2 summers to work for the Adirondack Summer Theater Festival, way upstate New York. And yeah, it was wild.
Was
that the Red House Theater?
Well, it's connected. They're connected. So later on, I worked for another theater connected to them. But this was in the Adirondacks, which is New York's largest state park. I think it's something like 6 million acres, and it's a mix of private and publicly owned land. And we traveled the entire region, and we did Shakespeare and musical theater. And it was in
the open or in actual theaters?
Both. In the musical theater, we would do in theaters because they needed to have acoustic, like the piano. But the Shakespeare we did outdoors. I did.
That's going to connect to Shmuel because he's done.
Yeah, I did 12th night. I was in 12th night, and we did it, I think, probably like 30 times that summer. Wow. Yeah, it was wonderful, and always in a found space, right? Like the Adirondacks, the region is known for their lakes. So we were always like on the beaches of lakes, or, up on these mountains and the high peaks. If you know Lake Placid's in the Adirondacks. That's kind of the famous one, I guess. So yeah, so that was
amazing. What an experience.
So it was.
But then you actually turned, I mean, I know that you worked with the Red House Theatre as well.
Mhm.
And then you turned into, again, like the flutist to the theatre, you turned from like acting and whatever into producing.
Yeah, into producing and writing. Yeah,
So how
I
did
kind
you
of
get into producing?
so I fell into producing actually through wanting to do charitable work, wanting to, artists aren't given, I think Shmuel, well, no, Shmuel gives back for a living, but artists are generally not given the opportunity to give back, right? To kind of do charitable work. It's not so easy to find that. And so I started producing charity concerts in New York City with all of my friends, from both New York and from university, to raise money for an organization actually that my mom is the communications director for, and it's for kids with cancer. And so it was like, okay, how can we give back? Oh, this is how we can give back. And so I sort of reverse engineered my way into producing by kind of discovering that was something I wanted to do, and then finding out that it was something I was good at.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that artists certainly have learned to do these charity shows now, because I think they do a lot of charity shows today for like the actors funds and things like that.
Yeah.
So to try to help out people in the community who are obviously having a really, really hard time this last year.
Yeah.
But tell me what is
Difference.
Well, what does the producer actually do in a show? I think people.
Well, that's a great question. It depends, right? I mean, if you go look at a playbill, like depending on the size of a theater or of a movie or a film, but let's say for our purposes, theater, you could have multiple producers, right? I mean, I guess there's two main functions. One, which is not the function I really do, which is fundraising. And I don't mean fundraising for kids with cancer. I mean to pay the bills to keep the theater open, fundraising. So there's that kind of producing, which is really like the money producing to bring into a show. And then more what I do is creative producing. So how do you describe what they do? I'll just name things they do. So a producer hires everybody or finds everybody to hire, right? The director, except the actors, yes. So the director, the technical team, even the front of house, right? Everybody that is involved in making it happen, the producer either hires or is responsible for finding the person to hire.
Right.
The producer handles budgets. Again, it's all the high level work, right? They're not in the budget accounting, but they're making sure the budget is a budget. The producer often works closely with a director or other main, kind of top people in the organization or in the production to help steer it artistically, to make sure basically that the vision is happening. Are we producing the show that we set out to produce? I like to say that the producer is the problem solver. The producer is the problem solver. And
the producer is really in contact with the mainly with the director,
right.
but also with the set designer, with the technical guys, the lighting designer, all those people to ensure that the vision that the director has of the play is one that is brought to the audience.
Exactly. And again, that really can be more or less granular depending on the size of the production, right? You could have 7, 8, 10, 20 producers on a production, depending on, what happens. Although I think it's more exciting when it's smaller.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Don't you, Danny?
I do. I don't know how we would have done it without you in the beginning, because for those of you who don't know, Rebecca was my executive producer, and she produced Bad Jews and other stuff when we pivoted. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So what actually brought you to Israel?
I came to Israel to get a second degree. Because in America it's too expensive. And after having done a first degree that was a conservatory, I felt many years later that I had lacked an academic experience. So I came here to Tel Aviv University to get a degree that you might think has nothing to do with theater, but it does. I got a degree in right? I got a degree in conflict resolution and mediation.
Oh, completely. It has to be theater. Come on.
I came here for that.
Just resolve all of that. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Problem solving. So I came here to get my master's, and then I never left.
Well, we're certainly glad you never did. One of the what was that? One of the first projects that you produced in Israel was the Olim project,
yeah.
which I'm going to show people if they don't mind. Now my computer's not behaving. Oh, there we go.
The Olim project was the documentary theater.
Yes. So this is the writing. Right. So I actually created and directed, which was a mistake. I wish I had only created it and given it to somebody else to direct. But the Olim Project is a documentary theater piece, which is verbatim theater. It's a form of theater where you take first-person sources, whether it's interviews or content from newspapers or online or social media or wherever, and you devise a piece from it. And so the Olim Project was therapy. And I went and I was feeling, this was maybe a year and a half into making Aliyah. I felt quite frustrated, as you do when you make Aliyah. And I said, well, other people must be having, experiences also. And I went and interviewed. What you do is I interviewed people, I think I interviewed more, but I ended up being like 18 characters, maybe 20. And then you transcribe everything, right? Word for word, and then cut it together into a piece. And that was a really steep, hard learning experience about producing theater in Israel. But it was ultimately a good experience.
You rubbed off on them before you came to us, so that you knew what to expect, and I didn't have to console you or anything like that.
Trial by fire, for sure.
Now, I know you did some more work with the stage in Tel Aviv, but I want to focus on your time at Center Stage, if I may.
You may.
So tell us about Bad Jews. How was that for you?
Bad Jews was really, it was like such a terribly rewarding experience, and I've been reflecting because it opened this week last year.
I know.
It opened this week last year. So I can't believe it's been a year. But, when I met Danny, she wanted to open a play, I think right after the Chagim, right?
Right.
And we almost did.
We didn't do Bad Jews. We had the Lost Rats.
Right, but you wanted to have Bad Jews open even earlier, if I remember correctly. But we
wanted earlier.
We always do. It's ambition. It's ambition. So we started working on Bad Jews, though, I guess in September, late August. And Drew Feldman, our director, he was attached to the project, I think, even before me. Drew is a lot of experience as well, and it was kind of the dream team. We set out, with a mission of, Center Stage's first self-produced work was going to be of the highest standard. With the resources we had. Grant is laughing because Grant probably still has nightmares of me yelling at him that things have to look a certain way. But it was, I think we can say we're really proud of what we produced. We got the best actors that we could hire, and we had, a professional set designer, our professional lighting designer. We're trying to stick to the mission of elevating, English theater in Israel. And I really think we did it. I was really proud.
Yeah.
So I think your degree in conflict resolution probably helped enormously then.
Well, it was the first time for everything, right? So, it was like, and the theater was built, but it was like just built, right? So there was like things we were finding out as we go, like, just that, the sound, for instance, the soundproofing, right? We were learning about when you could hear things that you didn't know you could hear. And so It was always something new, but really, we sold out, I think, in the end, most of the shows.
We had 3 sold out shows, which was amazing.
And also,
a New York ceiling too.
Yeah, exactly. And, and it was brave, I think, of Danny, for everyone listening, to do it, because it is a rather, I guess, controversial piece in the Jewish community. And somebody actually told Drew, someone from Drew's community actually told them they thought he shouldn't direct. and he still
I
did it.
remember that.
So everyone really was like brave and, stood behind it as a piece. And I thought that was just really exciting.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I was determined to do when we opened Center Stage, was to pick the plays that would make people think. And we're going to have this wonderful lady on in a few weeks. Her name's Natalie Feinstein. And we're going to talk about culture and the role of theater in culture. And thanks, Isabel. That's lovely. She says you absolutely deserve congratulations for Bad Jews. It was superb. Thank you, Isabel. But I think the theater has to get people talking, and that was my main motivation. Whether you agreed or disagreed, as long as you were talking, that for me was what made it right. So let's just sort of wrap things up now and talk to me about what's on the horizon. Now I know
what's on the horizon. We're in a pandemic, and as I'm sure anyone on this Zoom knows, it is a very dark time for theater. With that said, in the spring, I started working on a new documentary theater piece with a writing partner back in America that we did a first iteration of, and then we needed a break. So we'll hopefully get to our second, and it's about the pandemic. So we were interviewing people in real time, which was a really interesting experience. And now,
a diverse range of people that you interviewed. I mean, from
very diverse
Flanders to theater people to journalists to
Yeah, it was great. I just think that it's hard because documentary theater, you sometimes feel like you're making theater for people to watch in 20 years, because it's like, especially when it's a current event, nobody wants to watch a play about the pandemic right now. So we also felt that fatigue, but hopefully we'll reapproach. And there's a theater company I've been involved with for nearly 20 years, 15 years, I guess, called The Artist Crossing. You can look them up, run by a very, very profound actress named Judy Blazer, and they're looking to do some digital work, some master classes, and I'm starting to work with them, as we all are. We're pivoting, so I'm learning how to produce digitally, which is very challenging, but it's good. It's good to be doing that.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to mention that Center Stage has not seen the last of Rebecca. We are still getting things together. We
were producing until the country shut down, if you'll remember. We were ready to go, and they shut the country down. So we'll be back.
And then we pivoted to do those. I mean, you did the 5-minute play festivals with us, which was an incredible success. And we'll be doing more with Rebecca. So
we have some ideas. We chatted the other day about some things to come. So
and those things will happen. If you know Grant and I, we sort of tend to do things. We just jump in because I honestly believe that there's no such thing as trying. You just do. Absolutely. So Rebecca, hang around with us, please, until we bring you back.
Questions
and I thank you again so much for taking the time and speaking to us. And it's so interesting to actually have a producer so that people can see the different sides of the theater. And now we're going to
Shmuel Goldstein.
So let me bring Shmuel up.
Shmuel is a stage and screen actor, although the way he got into acting in Israel is unusual and interesting. We'll hear about it now. We first met Shmuel when he had auditioned for All My Sons, and he landed the part of Joe, acting opposite Daniela and myself. Daniela plays Kate, and I play some doctor character.
Jim. Some doctor.
Shmuel, welcome to On Cue.
So good to have you.
I love your background. I just have to tell everybody, that is the Mishkan Theatre in Renana with All My Sons mobile set.
Absolutely.
For a show, I think we did for 300 kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a very good audience there.
We did, and you can tell us all about it in a second, but we want to go into sort of chronological order, right?
Right. Well, first of all, we have to show you your doppelganger.
Oh, God, yes.
Doppelganger. Oh, I know. Oh, I've gotten this a lot of times. I bet.
Oh, you have?
So I'm going to show this to you, and you tell me, because I'm working not next week, but the week after. I have an actor from from Minneapolis, right?
Minneapolis.
Who is going to be interviewed with his director. He's Israeli and he's doing an incredible show there. But he worked in a production with this guy, and I looked at this guy and I was like, what is Shmuel doing there? So just have a look at this, just for a split second, because this is so funny. Let me get this. Tell me that doesn't look like you.
The one on the left is me.
I couldn't tell.
I would say it was like your brother or something like that, definitely. But I was
I don't
just
look
like,
like my brothers, believe it or not.
no.
I don't know why. That's
Okay.
the way it is. I've gotten
You're a
people
one.
up to me and I've said, you know who you remind me of? Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh no. Really?
I had
No.
a
No. It's much better than that.
Shmuel, you were born and raised in LA. Acting was always in your blood.
right.
You did not follow the path. What did you study at university?
Oh, well, I was very much, I was kind of a split. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, into the performing arts or into science. They were both my loves. I was voted most talented in high school, yet I went to a physics major. Kind of like, if you can't figure it out, just take a look at Brian May, the guitarist from Queen, who after he retired from Queen, he decided to do something fun. And so he decided to get a PhD in astrophysics.
Wow.
So I was there, but it was still in my blood. And from time to time, it popped up again. People wanted to do a little something, and I said, you know, you'd be good at that. And I nailed it. And many years later, when the kids were older and we didn't have to be there with them all the time, I was, wondering what to do.
Well, I was just going to say, don't go into that yet, because I was going to say you made Aliyah to Israel and you studied as well at the Jerusalem College of Technology,
Yes.
working in high tech. You started a family. And then how and why did you get back into acting?
Well, like I said, the kids were growing up, and I felt, maybe there's something I can go back into the performing arts somewhere, somehow. I need to do something with all the craziness that I have. So I was driving along the road one day, and I saw on the back of the bus an advertisement, be a medical clown. And since I listen to all the advertisements on buses, I called them up right away. And I went to the course, and I did very well in the course. And that's one of the things I've been doing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that at a later stage. Okay.
And then I said, okay, well, that's good, but I wanted to do a bit more rich. And so I started to look around, and I eventually found various organizations, Mimi's organization in Renana, and I also found the stage. And I should mention that one of the first things I was in was in a one-act play festival, who Rebecca Flanders produced, or was involved with it as well.
So this
was true. It was so many years ago.
That's right. Yeah, and so things come full circle, and we'll get to something later that I'm involved with someone else who also produced the play, but we'll get to that a little later.
Okay. Okay. So so you started screen acting you've done a lot of commercials, a lot of corporate videos and TV series. And one of them, I'm just going to show people a picture because I'm sure they will recognize it, and potentially you, is from this show in Hebrew,
Ambush.
Now,
Yes.
you did a couple of those. I remember watching it, and you did 5. I saw the Voodoo Doll one, and I saw the Nasty Boss one that you were in. There you go. So that was with Ofer Schechter, right?
Right. So
How did you learn
because many actors here in this country do many auditions and they send it in, it kind of your auditions float around in cyberspace. And eventually the Herzliya studios found out about me. They gave me a call out of nowhere. And they say, you want to be involved in something? I had no idea. I don't watch that stuff. And so then they told me what's going on. And I said, oh, this sounds like fun. And it was very, very, very involved, all of these pranks on celebrities. It's not just a little thing. They have a whole room, a control room. It's like a mission control, and they have where they do the prank. 9 cameras around there, and they have a script, and they have a celebrity to do it. And so I've worked with a lot of Israeli celebrities. With Lehi Greener, we did a prank on Penina Rosenblum. We did one on Avivi Bar-Zohar, Jackie Azulai. We did one on Orna Dots that was not published. We did the one with the voodoo on Tiltil. We did another one with the voodoo on Mayan Ashkenazi. I worked with Ruslana. Oh, and not to mention Ofer. So yeah, it was in Hebrew, and it was a combination of screen acting and in the person acting, because I had to convince someone that I was just a poor peddler just telling a voodoo doll.
Yes, I remember that.
So
The Hebrew though, I mean that's you. Are you fluent?
yes.
Wow.
Yes. I'm in less than a month. I'll be filming in an episode of the hit TV series Shabbatnikim.
Yeah, and we'll get to that as well.
And that's going to be in Hebrew. And my medical clowning also, I do all of that in Hebrew.
Fantastic.
Most
I
of it
think
in
that a
Hebrew.
lot of
Some of it
actors
is in Russian. Some of it is in Amharic. Some of it is in Arabic.
Wow.
But whatever works.
I honestly believe that the language has always been a barrier for Anglo actors, because maybe in what you've landed, and you've been really lucky and fortunate to get these roles, that they don't care that you have an accent, or and that's amazing, and I commend you for that, because a lot of actors here are very concerned that their accent, well, they know that the accent actually loses them a lot of parts. So you are very fortunate.
Well, I don't know. I think everyone is a bit different. First of all,
Yeah.
That's a rule of thumb that I think is accurate for everything. Also, I personally like to do accents. I just have fun with it. So I said, well, how am I going to do this Israeli accent in Hebrew? So I'm going like this, I'm learning Hebrew. What am I going to do? So I came up with an idea. So I said, you know what I do? I start to talk English with Israeli accent, or what I think is Israeli accent. I take that same way of pronouncing the English that I'm talking, ואז אני מכניס את זה לעברית, ואין לי בעיה, ואני מסתדר והכל בסדר. Put translations down below here. But they still hear, the native speakers still hear an accent.
Of course. But
it's not that heavy. And sometimes it bothers them, sometimes it doesn't bother them.
Right.
I get it.
That's what I'm saying. You were fortunate to get the new sort of roles. I mean, you did that role as the judge in a, was it a music video or a?
It was a musical clip by Tamir Bar.
Mm-hmm.
He had a long clip, and I was in one part of it called Aizrach HaKatan, the small, the little citizen.
Yeah.
And it worked out fine.
Amazing.
Back in Ambush, when I was selling the doll, and I was right in front of Tiltil, he says, "You're not from here, are you? Where are you from?" And I told him, "I'm from the United States. I'm from the oh yeah, what is this?" I said, "This is from my grandfather from the Ukraine." And he says, "Oh, okay."
You're from the US, but this is from your grandfather. I like that. Okay. Well, only in Israel, as Isabel would say, that's the melting pot. So anybody is from anybody and anywhere. So absolutely. So, now I want to sort of like go into we talked about your screen acting and TV series, and you'll tell us about some upcoming shows which are very interesting. But the image that we used for the promo of on Q was from Theatre in the Rough's Measure for Measure, and that links back to what Rebecca was saying, because Theatre in the Rough, they're very unique. They only do shows outside, which you'll tell us, and they do Shakespeare. So tell us about the production, tell us about how they do it and the experience of working with them.
All right, it's organized, it's like the brainchild of Beth Steinberg, and they've been doing it for something like 10 years.
Right.
And what they do is somewhat similar to Shakespeare in the Park in Manhattan. They take a Shakespeare play in the original language, although it could be edited, and they break it down into several scenes, and we do one scene in one location in Bloomfield Park. It's usually in Bloomfield Park. And then we do another scene about 200 meters away. And they schlep all of the audience with them. And then the next scene over here, and the next scene over there, and the next scene over there. And there's no real backstage with it. And it's original Shakespeare. And it's,
So you're
I don't know,
literally taking
I'm
the
losing
audience
words
on
to
a journey.
describe it. It's like a whole encompassing thing. It's like swimming in the water. It's not like being on top of it. It's like going in there and being part of it.
Yeah.
For me, I was fortunate because with Measure for Measure, it's not the most popular or well-known play. Some people call it one of Shakespeare's problem plays, although some people won't. They cast me as a kind of a boring guy, Aeschylus. And I was doing it, and I said to Beth, I said, what am I going to do? This is boring. And she said something wonderful. She said, the part depends upon the actor. The actor can make it interesting.
Right.
Said, you know what? You're right. Later, they cast me in an additional role, also in Measure for Measure. I
Right.
played two parts. I played the state Aeschylus, and I played a drunk Barnardine.
Mhm.
And there were two scenes where I had to quickly change.
Right.
And so that was a lot of fun. It was like 180 degrees.
I'm
different.
sure.
Nice.
I'm just going to bring Rebecca in here. Sorry, Rebecca, to put you on the spot, but how does that compare to what you did? I mean, did you also schlep the audience from place to place, or was it in one
No,
place?
we were in one spot. We just schlepped ourselves. So, like, it was a tour. So we just did it in
Right, in
many
places.
different places. It was always outside though, which I think is like I'm
unique
sure
experience.
Shmuel had the same experience, of just doing Shakespeare outdoors, in the rough, in wherever you are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about it.
Fantastic.
Also, I want to point out that it's in Bloomfield Park in Jerusalem, which
Yeah.
it's right across the valley from the old city. We see the old city walls. We see Dormition Abbey. It's right next to the King David Hotel. And it's like, with due respect to Broadway, I felt that this is like even a better location to do that. Beth Steinberg and her whole family and Yam and Nathan Scope and Iris Scope, they've done a wonderful, wonderful job. And I really want to say, kudos to you guys.
Absolutely.
Nice,
Absolutely. We love that.
So, Joe, you want to talk about All My Sons?
Yeah.
Playing Joe is quite a challenge. How did you, I know you prepared a lot for it, but how did you tell us a bit about
Well, like many Americans, I saw the ad for the audition for All My Sons, and I said, what is this play? It seems like the Israelis know All My Sons, the British know All My Sons, people who are very, very, very learned in theater know All My Sons, but other people don't. So after I investigated, I said, oh my God, this is like perfect for me. So I pushed it very hard and got the part. And I am I'm very proud of what I did in it. It's a dramatic role, lead. One can say that I carry the play on my shoulders. I don't want to brag too much about it, but it's a very big role. And I'm glad and I'm happy that I was able to do it and stay in character and keep with it and do a good job. I've gotten some very good feedback after many, many of our shows. Those of you who don't know what the framework of All My Sons is with Center Stage is we presented to high schools here in Israel. And high schoolers here learn All My Sons is at a high level of English when they learn English Bagrut. So that's when they that's how they know All My Sons. We presented to them to give them a more full experience.
Mhm.
And we've gotten some very good feedback. I've gotten some very good feedback.
And we've done it in some really weird places. I mean, we've managed to. That's why our set is very portable and fluid to allow us to perform in all sorts of weird and wonderful places. But I was just want to bring in that Isabel wrote here. She said, when La Mama Theatre from New York did Medea and Trojan Women in David's Tower before they turned it into the museum it is now, the audience trekked all over the place with the actors, and it was fabulous. So, obviously, this kind of idea has been done, and good on Theatre in the Rough for taking it further. And So tell us a little bit about your clowning now. I mean, this is you, and I see Sandy is here, so we'll say hi to Sandy, who is also, well, Shirley is her alter ego clown.
Yeah.
But you trained at Simchat Lev.
Right.
But tell us how you got into. I mean, you said on the advert on the bus, but what's it like to bring that joy to people who really are in a very difficult place?
It makes you feel good. It's good. It's therapeutic for yourself as well. You should know, and that's what it feels like. It feels like, well, I need to do this, and I need to do something. It's something. It's a humbling experience. It makes you, you have all these magic tricks, and you have these balloons, and you have this plan, and you do this, and you do that, and then, this person is not interested, or that person is not interested, or it seems like there's nobody there, and then you concentrate on one person, or you could spend like 5 seconds on a lot of people, or you could spend two hours on someone. I once sat down at Beit Levinstein with a fellow from Bat Yam, who was an amputee, and he invited me, and he came to his to his hospital room, and we just sat down and we chatted. I was sitting there, with my clown nose. I, just looking at him. Yes. Nachon kacha. And for 2 hours, and I got a little serious, and that's it. You have to play it by ear.
Right.
There are many people who don't speak Hebrew.
Right.
You have to manage with that. Yeah. There are people who you see. There was one 17-year-old going around with a baseball cap, and he says, "You want to see my head?" I said, "I don't know. What's with your head?" And he takes off his baseball cap. Half of his head is not there.
Wow.
And and I like that just for a second. But you have to realize that obviously you're not responsible for what happened to them.
Sure.
2, medically you can't do anything about it. 3, the only thing you can do is try to make the atmosphere more positive. And so I right away went into it. And
well, I think the work that you do and the work that Sandy does and the rest of the medical clowns is really a
honorable profession.
Yeah, it's a mitzvah, and kudos to you. It's not an easy thing to do, and so just quickly, because we want to go into the 10 questions, and time flies by so quickly. So just give us a quick peek into what we can expect from you coming up shortly. I know that there's
in a few weeks I will be filming in an episode of the Israeli hit series Shabbatnikim. I'm going to be a Haredi father who gives somebody the 3rd degree there. So that's going to be something quick. I'm going to be in a wonderful film called Mar Naim in Hebrew, or otherwise known as Mr. Pleasant. That is a dramatic presentation of Operation Solomon, when the Israeli government took the Ethiopian Jews to Israel. And it's very involved. I am going to play the American diplomat Bob Hudek, and there was an Israeli diplomat called Asher Naim, also played by Rebecca. Hear this? They played by Udi Ratzin. So I'm going to be and Udi was also with us with the
nice, very nice.
Festival. So I'll be also in this film with famous actors Shmuel Calderon and Yoram Toledano. It's directed by Micah Smith. I don't know if you know him, but he's from Efrat. He's also in the Anglo community. So I'm very proud of that. Another fun thing. Now, we all complain about Corona and the theater, and it really, and it stops everything. This next thing is the other way around. Hold on to your hats here. We all know that in North America and other places, this time of year, parents bring their kids to the malls to sit on the laps of Santa Claus, right? Well, in Israel, it's not so much. But you don't bring him to Santa Claus now. Well, with Corona, he's an old man and everything. He's in the, and so there's a wonderful, wonderful company called Jingle Ring, that sent out for auditions to be Santa Claus. And since I've already done 2 commercials as Santa Claus, I sent in an audition, and I was immediately accepted. And what they are doing is that you can sign up for Jingle Ring, and they give you the customer kind of a facade, kind of a Zoom-like front end, and you have a direct meeting with Santa Claus in the comfort of your home, and it's direct and personal. And you can invite all your friends from all over the world. So I'm the only one that I know of in Israel who's doing Santa Claus. You mentioned before that do you really have to be that type of a person to be that type of a person? So I say, listen, if we can have Gentiles being in Fiddler on the Roof, we can have non-Greeks being in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, we can have a Fruma Yid being Santa Claus.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that goes well. That sounds amazing, Shmuel. That's really great. And I hope you enjoy it and have fun with it. I'm going to bring Rebecca back in. Hey, Rebecca.
Hey.
Come to our segment of
Hey,
10 questions, which is like based on the Bernard Pivot Marcel Proust questionnaire. So just what we wanted to do is, because we only have like 10 minutes left, is just answer quickly. First thing that comes to your head, don't go into a whole explanation, just be free and let it go. So go on, take it away.
First question is to Rebecca. What is your idea of perfect happiness?
A dog, a beach, my family, and chocolate.
Oh, okay. Shmuel.
Same question?
Same question.
A job well done. I'd like to say family, but a job well done.
I'm into that.
That's good.
Next question, Rebecca, what is your least favorite word?
Panel.
Panel. Okay. Panel. Shmuel, what is your least favorite word?
Early morning.
Which one?
Both. Early morning.
Early morning.
Okay. Shmuel, the first one's for you. Go for it.
What person do you most admire?
Arguably, Jerry Lewis. Oh, she must have made me to say Sandy.
Sandy's like, me.
No, I'm gonna. Sorry, Sandy, but I admire Sandy. She's wonderful. The person who arguably I most admire is actually Jerry Lewis, and I'll tell you why. Because he was in the performing arts, and he was paid to do the muscular dystrophy telethon, but he could have done other stuff, and he dedicated his life to doing the muscular dystrophy telethon. Okay, he wasn't a perfect person. None of us are, but I always kind of think of it. It's always in the back, and it kind of inspires me.
Fantastic. Rebecca, how about you?
That's such a difficult question.
Choose one.
You don't have to know them personally.
Should or should not? Should personal or not personal?
Looking at your calendar back there and going,
No, I know. Yeah, that's cheating. That's RBG working out, everybody. But as much as I admire her, I think oh, I just had it. I'll say my godmother, who works in the theater, and her name's Lisa Rafferty. She's who taught me the documentary theater form. I admire that she raised 3 children and came back to the theater after, and that gives me hope.
yeah. Absolutely.
So her.
Next question, I'll go to Rebecca.
Okay.
What do you consider the most overrated virtue?
Patience.
I'm with you there. Shmuel, how about you?
Humility.
Okay. Okay. So, Shmuel, on what occasion do you lie?
I never lie. Get it? Did you get it? Did she get it?
Rebecca?
To my mother-in-law, who I love very much.
That's okay.
Okay.
Next question. What natural gift would you most like to possess? Shmuel.
I'd like to be a very good singer. but I'm not.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Nice one, Rebecca.
Mm.
You can sing, Rebecca.
Yes, I can.
Oh boy, can she sing.
Um, um, I wish I had grit, more grit.
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
That's a
All
good one.
right,
That's
well-
a good one.
Rebecca, what is your most treasured possession?
That's a good question. I don't really care about things a lot. So,
doesn't have to be a thing.
It doesn't have to be a thing though. I know. I think my most treasured is marriage a possession?
Why not?
Yeah.
My husband? No, he's my
You possess your husband. It's okay.
Um,
That's all right. I like that.
I think my marriage, I've really come to appreciate it even more at this time when your
love
partner
that.
really is your partner in everything,
That's good. That is-
right?
We can relate. Totally.
Yeah.
Shmuel, how about you?
Most treasured possession.
Actually, I want to say the same thing. No, I don't treasure your husband, Rebecca, but I mean, I have nothing against him. But
I
I
know.
want to say that I want to give a shout out to my wonderful wife, Kim, who has supported me throughout the years, who was the mother of our kids, who has gone back a few years ago, and now she's a nurse, a real nurse, not a fake nurse.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Kol hakavod.
So,
Kol hakavod. I like that. I love people appreciating their partners. I love that.
she's impressive.
Next one.
Which word or phrase do you most overuse? Rebecca.
Can you turn that down?
Okay. Turn it down, damn it.
Well,
You want to check it out?
You want to check it out? That's your okay.
Actually, I say it half in English and half in Hebrew. When I take my kids and we go somewhere, and we say, "Bona, check it out."
Want to check it out?
when you check it out.
Check it out.
That's a t-shirt.
That is a t-shirt.
Okay.
What do you most value in your friends, Shmuel?
In my friends, consistency. That is staying in contact with them. I would say
Okay,
contact is very important.
absolutely, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Rebecca?
A healthy sense of humor.
Couldn't agree with you more, absolutely.
Okay.
And
the
last one.
final question.
Go
would you
for
like
it.
to ask?
No, you do it.
If you were to die and come back as a person or a thing, who or what would it be? Rebecca.
Me first, huh?
You first.
Who or what would it be? I think that I would want to come back as a golden retriever.
I was just going to say, Lucy, you want to come back?
And not my dog. She's too neurotic, but I think like a really chill golden retriever. I realize I don't get to decide who would own me, but I just imagine that might be a nice life.
You're
They
such
don't
a
live long.
dog, Rebecca.
But dogs don't live long.
That's okay. Like, I think that might be part of the appeal is that you live a good life and then it's done.
I love it. Shmuel, how about you?
Believe it or not, a dolphin.
A dolphin.
Ooh,
Oh,
dolphin.
man, Shmuel, you're right.
A dolphin. That is
Because
so
if you take a
cool.
look at the earth, there's more water than land, and a dolphin can go all over. the
Oh,
place.
you're so right.
How
Absolutely.
long do dolphins live?
A long time.
I don't know, but longer than dogs, that's for sure.
That's for- I'm going to Google it right now.
I think it would be just fun because you can play with other people as well, and you can play with other animals, and it's just like and
Dolphins
such
are good
smart,
ones.
yeah,
That's a
dolphins
good
are.
one.
Do
really
people
good
normally
ones.
answer that question with like, I'd like to come back as the president, and then like you have on this, this time Shmuel and I are just like saying animals.
And we've had someone who wanted to come back as their cat.
Yeah.
That's
We've
okay.
we've had some very good answers on that
Yeah.
one. So
Okay. Shmuel,
Well,
you
guys-
dolphins can go 60 years just to
60
keep one
years.
thing, so they
Okay.
can.
You looked it up?
Google. I just looked it up. Yeah.
good choice, Shmuel. Good
Got
choice.
2 more years.
Well, guys, that is it. That's
Really
an hour
good.
that went by
Thank you
so
so much.
quickly.
Yeah.
An hour?
I want to thank. I know. I want to thank Shmuel Goldstein and I want to thank Rebecca Flanders
Thank you, guys.
for joining us tonight and for sharing their talents. And we hope to see a lot more of you at Center Stage. And of course, with the way that the vaccine is coming, please God, we'll be able to have you all in our theater. We'll do the on-cue live as well as bring productions and all sorts of wonderful things. But don't forget to join us next
We
week.
can fill all these seats behind us.
Absolutely. But join us next week. There we go. Shmuel's
Shmuel's-
going off as a clown. And
You gotta translate it. That's
You're
Captain
licensed. You're licensed.
join us next week on the duets for some really amazing songs, amazing singers. Thank you all for taking the
Thanks,
time, for
everyone.
being with us. And really appreciate it. Stay healthy, stay well, and lots of love to you all. Good night, everyone.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.